Da 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 da! What's my good cheer? Welcome, welcome, everybody. Let's give YouTube a couple of minutes to get those notifications out. In the meantime, if you've never met me before, hi, I'm Cindy. I explore the inside and the outside. And I am just paying attention to my volume here, you guys. I am wearing for the first time in my life my wireless microphone. My sister got me this for my birthday. She always gets me what I ask for. She always asks me when the holidays show up, what do you want for a gift? And I thought she did this to everybody. And she does, but I'm the only one that complies because my sister is very persistent. And when she asks for something, you pretty much got a timeline to get it done. And so I expected that it was something I needed to get done. Get that Christmas list in, get that birthday list in, let my sister know what I needed. And at Christmas time, when she sent out that demand for the Christmas list, you know, this microphone was something that was on that list for me. It was something that I appreciated very much. And I meant to use it in September quite often when I took my trip to Ontario and I was doing all those videos for the provincial parks that I was staying at. And it just seems so, I don't know, because this does cut out a lot of the background noise. I didn't want to use it because I wanted everybody to have that essence, that feeling of connecting with Mother Nature. Even if the wind was blowing the sound like crazy, and it did, the rain, it came down, interfered a little bit, but that's okay because I really wanted people to have the sense of Mother Nature here sitting in my living room, in my office, if you want to call it that, because this is a studio apartment. So this is just one big room that I am in. And each corner of this room is designated for something. And this is my office. This is where I spend a great deal of time in the past week. And I have taken the week right off. And again, if you've never met me before, I am Cindy. I explore the inside and the outside. But part of that exploring the inside is feeling myself out, taking care of myself emotionally. I didn't realize that this would be, I quit my job. So I gave my notice. My last day was last Friday. I shut down. Hello, Hannah. How's the sound in my live today? Can you let me know? I'm using a new wireless microphone, so I'd appreciate any feedback on that you wanted to give to me. If it sounded better without the microphone, I'll know for tomorrow when I come in live not to wear it. And if it sounds okay, then maybe this is something I should seriously consider uh, bringing consistent. Oh, awesome! That's absolutely amazing. So you know what? This is some. It was very simple to do. The only thing is I will have to keep an eye on the battery of my laptop because the connector for that is in the same area as the plug for the battery. So the live, I'll keep an eye on the power on my laptop. In the meantime, we're just going to carry on. So what I was talking about was this week shutting down. I truly shut down, and right off the hop, the guilt comes in. It was barely enough energy in my system to have a shower, right? I went 3 days without even showering. I can't remember the last time I ever did that. And when I had that bath this morning, oh, it just felt so good. I just didn't even want to get out of, I just didn't even get out of the water, want to get out of the water. And when I did get out of the water, it was a strange experience for me because I'm not a napper in any way. I do not nap. I wake up in the morning, 7 o'clock. Sometimes I lay in bed for 15 minutes in contemplation, but usually by 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm already rolling with my day. And I roll with that day until right at the end of the day. I know lots of people out there are nappers. Hannah, are you a napper? A lot of people who hang out with me on my content are our nappers too. And there is no judgment in that, especially when I have a sister who suffers from insomnia, and she's been that way her entire life. She has every single day managed to get through her day on 3 hours sleep. I don't know how anybody could do that. I love my sleep. I am a good sleeper on the whole. There are occasions when I wake up in the middle of the night for a half an hour, or right? Or, when I forgot to turn the heat off before I went to bed. And that is a struggle for me because once I'm in bed, I don't like to get out of bed. I don't like to be bothered. And so if I've left the heat on when I've gone into bed, more than likely I'm just going to lay there and just think about getting up and turning off the heat. In all actuality, not doing anything because like I said, when I'm in bed, I am in bed. So I got out of the bathtub today and I made my cup of tea. I had drinking a couple of cups of coffee already, felt it was time for some tea, made myself a cup of tea and sat down here ready to do my live, and yet not ready to do my live, right? It is in that guilt sometimes, because I love to be consistent in what I do when it concerns my brand. Even last night, all day I anticipated coming into my live. I was in my topics. I was, right, actually looking at topics in order to bring to the table yesterday. And I was coming across such amazing, amazing conversations that were actually relevant to myself. I don't go off and check out content if I am not compelled to, if I don't think that there's something relevant in the title or the thumbnail, because right, everybody is vying for attention, right? Everybody is. Even I'm vying for attention, and I appreciate to have your attention today, Hannah. Oh, you do love your naps. Oh, that's amazing. And thank you for saying ending a job can be difficult. And it was something I had forgotten because I had this job for 5 years, going on 5 years. And it was a job that I really, truly did love. And it's a job, right? It's work. So, not every single aspect of any job out there is going to be easy, is going to be sprinkles, is going to be cotton candy, is going to be whistle while you work. But in the lessons that I've been taking along the way, that I've gotten to learn, that even though you come through those difficult moments, and I tell you, I've taken a butt kicking so many times in that little job that put the roof over my head, right? And I don't mind taking those kicks because, again, in my sense of accomplishment, that's where I'm happiest. So when I am in the mix, when I'm flying by the seat of my pants, when I'm adapting and conquering and overcoming whatever struggle in the job in that moment that I'm having, I thrive in that. I do. I thrive, totally thrive. The kicker is the wrenches sometimes that get thrown in there, right? A customer who goes irate on you, a homeless person that comes in and asks you for a fresh pair of clothes, and because of policies and right, wanting to keep your job and wanting to run things perfectly, that you have to kind of, right? Make a quick snap, make a decision, right? Maybe I can't give you an outfit, but do you need a change of underwear? Do you need a couple of pairs of socks, right? And I would slide those through, even knowing, right? Even being told not to, because my conscience, right, calls for that. My caring for others makes me sometimes go against those rules, go against the grain, go against what I'm told. I've been that way my entire life, in butting heads in that different argument, that different sense of understanding, or I told you so's. And of course, the authority, right? And sometimes the authority isn't right. And sometimes the authority is right, but that circumstance, that moment that makes us break the rules, right? And I have been that person to break the rules, even in my own job, even in the authority of representing, right? And being the example to others, being the supervisor or the person in charge in the moment, that I am not just representing the company, I am representing, right? That standard for the people who are following me in my leadership. And that's the word, right? Leadership and that comparison to the authority, right? Being the leader, I do not want the homeless community that comes into my store, that puts the roof over my head, because I could have easily been one of those people that didn't have a roof over my head, that didn't have clean underwear and a pair of socks. And I would like to hope that if I brought the courage to ask for a fresh pair of clothing because I couldn't afford it, right? That I would put myself in a position where somebody's going to look down on me or have that authority to say yes or no, right? That I could have the confidence to say, hey, right? And I wouldn't want somebody to make it difficult on me. And truly, I wouldn't want somebody to say no to me in my need, right? And so sometimes we do have to break the rules. Sometimes we do have to butt heads with the authority because the authority is not always right. And even if the authority is right, generally, right, they are not always right in those small circumstances, in somebody's need, and then again in somebody's ability to help. Okay, Hannah says here. "Ah, oh, hello, Melvin. I didn't see you come in there. Melvin says, I never vie for attention, Cindy. You never vie for attention. Sometimes people don't have that need to vie for attention. I never did in growing up, but maybe in opposite um, perception as you do. I never had to vie for attention because it was pretty hard not to get that attention as the obese child or teenager or adult. I didn't lose the majority of my weight until, well, I was almost 30 years old. I was in my late 20s for sure. But in saying that, not vying for people's attention, I never vied for people's attention, except that attention was on me. As highly sensitives and as empaths, people get to know us and they get to recognize how actually easy it is to, we'll call it, influence us in what we do, what we say, and what we think. And it's because we're looking to be liked, we're looking to be accepted, and we're looking to belong, right? And that's the case. That was always the case for me. Well, I would have to say the case would have been preferred not to have any attention at all, to be invisible, right? Not to be noticed. But again, like I said, it was really hard not to be noticed, right? And a lot of times it was in sticking up for myself. Maybe it was in holding my tongue. Maybe it was not getting into it because I did have my fair share of school playground. What do you call that? Playground fights. It's nothing that I ever sought after. It was nothing that I ever vied for, but it was in the defense of myself, right? Being my best friend, being my own cheerleader, right? Not letting myself be abused. And that's what it was, right? It was not allowing myself to be mistreated. And if there wasn't anybody around to hold forces with me or for me, because, right, I would, on the norm, the moment I had an opportunity to run away, I would run away. First person to come in defense, I'm just like, here you go. You deal with this, right? I can't deal with this. And I truly couldn't deal with this. These things that, right, paid attention to me because they would affect me emotionally. They would affect me mentally. And then, right, looking for places where I could outsource that to make myself feel better. Those were lessons I didn't learn until, well, I'm not going to say too far into my adulthood because, I quickly found my voice. I quickly understood that, sometimes you can make people laugh and be accepted. Sometimes it's in our own intelligence that, somebody who's not very social, but they're very smart, right? That I could find resonance with people just by having a serious conversation, right? But again, I would just be looking to belong, to be accepted. And, they wouldn't normally be genuine in that. It was just all information. It was all, right? They weren't lessons, they weren't delving deep. Though I did in those moments of, why did this happen to me? Right? In the moment, I would go deep. But for the most part, it was like, how fast can I get out of this? Right? I'm going to butt heads with you until you're so infuriated you just don't even want me around anymore. Then I wouldn't have to worry about the attention, right? I would just go off and do the things that help to calm my system down. And again, that would be the food, right? That was my pill. That was what calmed my system down, was the food. The food has always been a battle for me, even to this day, you guys. All I can think about today is, oh my goodness, it's so cold outside. I don't want to go outside. I've been on shutdown for almost a week down. I'm really enjoying my shutdown. I'm getting projects done. I cannot believe how far, right? It hasn't changed. Like you see the same. This doesn't change, but all around me, projects. I'm about to go into the closets. I started the closets this week with the spring clothing and I switched everything out. I just got it in there. I haven't rearranged it. I have not gone through all the pieces because a lot of it has to go. I do not have the room for it. And also in my life right now, right? I am colorful, I am casual, I am grateful for the job, the roof over my head, that I was able to dress in clothes that were colorful and comfortable. But who's to say what the next job, right? I have no idea. I just quit my job. I have no idea what's coming at me, what my next position is going to look like. I haven't even given it consideration. I've just been so busy, and this is much needed, right? I'm not staying busy for the sake of being busy. I am busy in the catch up for myself, in being able to feel good in that sense of accomplishment. Remember, we talked about how I feel good when sorry, I don't mean to hit the microphone. I am learning in that, right? Um, I'm not staying busy just for the sake of busy. I am staying busy in the crash because I recognize that some sort of crash is happening in the moment. And I don't mean to call it a crash. I think it's more of a deflation. That's what it is. I'm deflating. I am shedding all those layers of have tos, right? Out of my life. I am peeling off some of those attachments to some of my customers, some of those some of those routines in my life that kind of fitted into my life because they fitted into that life in that job that puts the roof over my head. So in the transitioning, and there's another good word too, because it is part of a transition. I feel the transitioning is forthcoming. It's not here in the moment because I am still in my crash. I am still in that deflation of what I had built up. And that's a good way to put it too, because I know I will be in the process of inflating my life as I start feeling better about what I've done, right? About making these big life changing choices in my life, right? It needed to be done. And I was all ready to go full force into making sure that it didn't happen to somebody else because I needed that job that put the roof over my head. It was part of the mission statement of the company that I work for, that they specifically strive to help put lives back together when they have unraveled. My life unraveled, but my life unraveled 5 years ago. I've had this job for 5 years. I had the opportunity to put my life together in that job. If I had known that I would be there 5 years, it would have been a little bit different in the different stages and this different layering of how to come out of that and transition into something else, right? Maybe I would have put more of those lessons in. I put good lessons into what I did and in practicing my craft, right? Whoever thought in that job that put the roof over my head, that in the moment of taking that job was only a rescue for the moment. That's how I looked at it. It was just a rescue for a scary moment in a scary period in my life. And I took that job on, but I took it seriously. And the gifts that came from just making that move and not looking down. And I did look down on that position. I didn't want to go to a thrift store. I didn't, right? I thought it was beneath me. I truly did believe it was beneath me. And it wasn't. It was so above me and it offered up so many solutions for the moments that I was in my life that it gave me an opportunity, like I said, to practice my craft and bring my light to the table. And just in the last 2 weeks of being able to give my 2 weeks notice and be able to play out those 2 weeks, it could have been a different story. It could have been take this job and it could have been one of those, right? I really felt like it should have been one of those. But I think the way it played out, the way that I contribute, because I contributed to how it played out, but I wasn't the only character that contributed to how it played out. My manager had a big role in how it played out. The head office had a say and a contribution if they wanted to in how it played out. The people I worked with had choices in that. And so did my customers. And I couldn't have asked for it to play out any better than it did. It blew me away. It touched my heart. And I believe it touched the heart of the company I worked with, and it touched the hearts of of the people that I worked with because I set the example. I decided how it was going to be played out. But at the same time, other people had options too. People could have thrown wrenches into that little bit of movement that was happening, that was blowing me away in my own emotions and in my own mind and in the reality of what I was doing because it played out so fast, it didn't even feel like reality. And it was. And I believe the way that I contributed and in the choices that I made, because I definitely made choices that made that snowballs start going down the hill. No snowballs today. Well, a little bit. It got a little bit cold today here in Manitoba. We're at minus 10 Celsius in midday. It's supposed to be a whole lot better tomorrow. So tomorrow I will spend a little bit of time in Nature, right? Get outside. I'll probably get outside just for 20 minutes or so today because I am still in that shutdown mode. I really but I believe that shutdown mode is serving me well. And I'm not missing a beat. I'm here, right? Maybe I'm missing a beat here and there. But, right, I am showing up. And I believe the message is important because lots of us are scared to make those moves. And I don't want to miss. Bless you, Cindy. God says you did the right thing helping others. Aw, thank you so much for saying that, Anna. That was really, really nice of you. Much appreciated too, right? Because again, I question everything when it comes to the moves that I make. And for the most part, those make moves that I make, I try to do them as fast as they come to the surface. I try to make those decisions and I try to make those moves and I try to put those actions in immediately, right? Because I know I can talk myself out of it. I know just from the fact that I can talk myself out of going live. Even this afternoon, I was ready to go. I made my cup of tea. I sat down. And the moment I sat down with a fresh cup of tea, it was steaming hot. It was steaming hot. And what did I do? I turned my computer off and I went down and I laid in bed and I conked out for an hour. I truly did conk out for an hour and I never do that. I am not a napper. I'm not saying I never done that. When I come home from my trips in September, I always take a good nap. But I am exhausted and I am depleted. And remember, this has been 5 years, right? So it's in that decompression. There's the word I was looking for. It so many words popping up. Did you notice I was using different words trying to look for this word because this is what the word is that it feels like for me, a decompression, releasing the relationships, releasing the responsibilities. Releasing the responsibilities was a hard one for me, you guys. I wanted to phone the store and check on them to make sure everything was okay, right? I left my coffee mug, my favorite coffee mug, at the store, but because I'm on shutdown, because I'm decompressing, because I don't even want to see anybody, let alone one of my regular customers or somebody I work. I don't want to have those conversations, right? I am releasing this week. This is Friday. So I do believe that maybe tomorrow I will start moving forward a little bit. Let me turn the volume down on here just that I recognize that it isn't my family. They'll pop up right away on the screen if it's my family. I have family issues going on right now, but I feel pretty good. I feel the way that I'm decompressing is very healthy for me. And in actuality, it's in the lessons and it's in the representation and in the confessions and in the life experiences of others that possibly have gone through the same thing as me or something different, but at the same time relevant in what I'm doing. And so I am not free falling in this decompression. I'm not free falling in a way that's going to make me feel angry, resentful, revengeful, because there's none of that needed. I had 5 years of being able to put a roof over my head, to take into some lessons, to be able to have a consistent job and a consistent income coming into my household, that it made it possible that I could stay on my lives, keep my podcast going, make those magnificent vacations that I put together. I'm spitting. I'm sorry, you guys. Those amazing vacations that I put together that are not going to change. I don't know how I'm going to manage it, but we're taking off in September for a couple of weeks. 10 days at least, a week at least, whatever I need. We're still taking that trip. It's part of my life now. A life that I created, that I'm not a part of an existence that's like bumper cars that is just going up against one car or against a wall or against a like right, that it's crashing into railings and stuff, that I have a little bit of sense of control over to what happens with me. So going into the next week, that is where the contemplation is going. Still doing the project, still getting ahead of the game, still decompressing, but poking my head out like a prairie dog, right? That's a good analogy. Poking my head out. What is that thing that comes out at spring in springtime? That animal that in February it comes out to see if it's getting a couple of more weeks of spring, or if they're going back into hibernation. What is that? Hedgehog? Oh, I can't remember in the moment. But that's what it is. It's like I'm popping my head out of the ground every once in a while to check out what's going on. Is it good time to come out? Is it a good time to go for a walk? Is it a good time to go into the next stage of my life? And what is that next stage of my life? Right? I have no idea, but I'm going to feel it out, understanding that in this moment everything is okay. What's most important in my life is still here. It's right. I am not struggling emotionally, physically, or mentally in this moment, except in my appreciation and association to those that are close to me that are struggling emotionally, physically, or mentally. And that's going on. But I think that's going on with most of us. I am grateful for my good health, whether my good health is physical, mental, or emotional. I am so grateful for that. But I am also aware, and I am also, right? I was going to say moving towards and holding space for others, but that is in showing up here, right? Not in actually going out physically and making those connections with people. I'm peeling. I'm right. Those cords to an old life, they have to be separated from myself. And yeah, 5 years, 5 years of connections, 5 years of moving forward, 5 years of clothes in my closet. I have to get through it, and I have to sort it out and get my donation bags ready, right? Those walk-in closets and those hall closets that I have been just jamming with things because I didn't know where to put it and I didn't have time. I had better things to do, right? I was busy in my, well, supposedly part-time job, but ended up being full-time job. And sometimes in that busy, we fall behind. But knowing that I have a little bit of time right now, that I've allotted a couple of weeks to I don't even know what brought that to my mind, right? Instead of just getting out there, finding a job, and then just transitioning from one job into the next. Why did it even say, Cindy, you need to decompress? I'm going to say that word decompress a few times today, only because it was a word that just fits so perfectly into what I'm doing with my life this week. It's in that decompression, in that peeling back of things that I took on as part of me, because that job was a part of me, but no longer is it. The lessons, maybe, right? For sure, the lessons, those lessons of the past 2 weeks, those lessons of those relationships that I built over the past 5 years, and the love and the actual considerations and kindnesses and insights. Not that I was just able to be a partner in those conversations, that they were gifted to me, but I was actually able to do a little bit of gifting back also in that practicing of my craft, right? I have no idea what's coming up for me, right? Today I'm not worried about it. Maybe tomorrow I will pop out of my hole, take a look around, and be inspired by something, right? Just like today when I put my tea down and I was inspired by my bed, and it was instant. And I'm so glad that I did that. I'm so glad that I did that, because when I woke up, I was able to take in a lesson and get another perspective from somebody who's trying to make movement themselves, and at the same time appreciate the struggles that it took for them to get to where they are, right? I understand everything is going to be okay. Everything is going to be okay. And in this decompression state that I'm in, if I need to crash out for another week, I will. But I do believe, even today, even in this moment, because last night there was nothing. Oh my goodness! Every 5 minutes, Cindy, you got to go do your live. Go do your live. You'll be inspired, and I'm always inspired by something. Even today, when I came in, I had no idea what we were going to talk about it, but I know all I have to do is take that initiative and just show up, right? And when I show up, well, the lessons show up. I'm so glad that I tried out my wireless microphone today. Was the sound good today, you guys? Andrew made it in today too. Oh my goodness. Hello, Andrew. Hello, Anna and Melvin. Thank you guys so much for coming in and keeping me company today. You guys always come in when I have these really important talks, these talks that I know that will help somebody out there. And sometimes, it's the people who pop in, but sometimes it's just in the conversations that we have afterwards with others. Or maybe, it's just in that knowing that, right? We're not the only one that have problems, that we all do, right? And I used to say it all the time. We all have handicaps. We all do, right? We all have problems, different levels, right? Different levels. We're all in the same storm. Some of us are in canoes. Some of us are clinging on to logs. Some of them are dancing the night away on cruise ships, right? Fine and dandy. It's in that effort, in that exertion, and in those just showing up. Because unless you show up, nothing else can come across your path, right? I'm in shutdown this week. Nobody's coming across my path this week. I have been inside with myself, keeping myself company, and keeping myself company, just not in my physical being, but in my emotional being and my mental well being. And I'm just happy to be able to show up to say, hey, I'm okay. You guys, everything is okay. And seriously, I guess you guys even can get a sense that everything is okay, right? And sometimes we just need to, and I'll be back into my live, right? Back into my podcast when I come back from my little walk. I'm just going to go to the store. I don't know what I'm going to the store for. I just know I need a little bit of fresh air, but just a little bit. But who's to say? Maybe I'll bundle up, and that's going to be hard to bundle up today because I changed my closet over already, and it's cold outside, minus 10 Celsius outside, so it's still pretty cold out there. It hasn't been that way all week, so I put all my winter. I washed it all. I put it away. It's done until next winter, but I can layer, right? And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to layer up, get outside for a little bit, right? Pick myself up a little treat. Oh, because I haven't been outside in a few days. I'm going to go straight to the bakery, I think. In my mind, I was just looking at the ice cream case because I do like my ice cream too. But we'll see, right? Maybe I won't even leave the apartment. I'm happy I showed up today. You guys, I'm happy that you showed up today too. Thank you so much for coming into my live. I'll be back in later on to watch it for myself because I know there's always a lesson for myself. Thank you, Hannah, for letting me know that the microphone was working good. That's something else that I will check out when I come back into my live later because I definitely want to wear the microphone if it is serving a purpose, right? It wasn't cheap, but I didn't pay for it. My sister did. So I'm going to send some thank yous and some good wishes to my sister who's not doing so well this week. If you guys wanted to send her a little prayer, right? I'm not big on praying myself. I don't know why. I do talk to myself on occasion. I do wish well for people, but actually praying, I'm not a big prayer, you guys, right? I do wish you well. I send out the good cheer, but if you can send out a little bit for my sister Tracy, maybe a little bit for my sister Alice too, could use a little bit too, right? And send a little bit out to me, and I'll send you guys all good cheer. You guys take a whole bunch today. I'm feeling pretty good in this moment. You guys have a great day, and thank you so much again for coming in.